Hello, all. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. What if
Excellent.
I told you that most relationships don't fail because of betrayal, lack of love, or even incompatibility? They fail because couples, they just don't have the right communication medicine because relationship communication over the years gets very sick. Every relationship gets wounded a little bit. We all take hits. Every relationship faces moments of misunderstanding, hurt feelings, defensiveness, or silence. Ring any bells for anybody? But the couples who survive and grow stronger have something other people don't, and they have a medicine chest of communication. Today, we're going to open that medicine chest and look at what healthy couples have inside. We're doing this as part one because this is the communication segment. Next week, we'll be doing a romance communication tools, which will be a little sexier. But anyway, I'm Zeph Halpern, and I'm coming to you from almost spring, like Washington, D.C., even though we've had 80 degrees, 20 degrees, tornadoes. We've had it all in the past week. Don't ask me. Don't mess with Mother Nature ever, because Mother Nature, it rules, and there's just no question. And this is the Discover Your Amazing Edge podcast, Spicy Friday edition.
Yay. And I am Sarah Polyakov coming at you from Seattle, Washington, and we are broadcasting nationwide, worldwide, and coast to coast. And we are so glad that you have joined us today. So before we get started, I wanted to remind you about the book, Discover Your Amazing Edge. In case you haven't checked this book out, it's amazing because you can open it to any chapter you want and you can get exactly what you need. You don't have to read it in sequence. And it's chock full of success tools. So, great book, easy read, love it. And we are having a website launch soon. We will have some special promos and giveaways. Those are a secret for the website launch. It will be Your Amazing Edge. So watch out for that. We are also offering our Edge community. That's another thing that's coming up. So we are expanding big time. There will be the Edge community via Mighty Networks. And then we will also be officially launching the pitch. And this is a safe space where you can talk to others about your business, about your dreams, your goals. You can even ask for work there if you want. You can even refine your elevator pitch if that's what you need. It's a community where you get leadership tips from Zeb and I, and also from your peers. It's a safe space, and it will be hosted off of LinkedIn so that you can have optimal privacy. So that's what
Place
we
to build your confidence, a place where anybody who's standing on the edge of their comfort zone and they're afraid to leap, you don't have to leap. You can go at your own pace, and we'll show you just how to do that. But Sarah, how's that dog of yours? That little baby of yours?
that little baby of mine.
I
Well,
mean, you might as well have had a baby instead of
well,
having that dog.
it's very much like having a baby. Let's bring the camera down to him. Well, hello, Arrow. How are you? Arrow says, I want a treat.
Oh, you excitable little arrow.
Okay, this is Arrow and Reuben. Now, I would love to show you Arrow doing an actual command. Arrow, sit. Arrow, sit. He's too excited. Arrow, sit. Arrow, sit. Sit. That's up. Okay,
Hey,
Arrow.
Arrow, you're being so obedient today. I'm just,
Up.
I'm watching that in progress. I'm watching your progress. You get the treat and you don't do what you're supposed to do. Very good.
He sees the liver treat and he gets too excitable because
Oh, I
that
think he's, knows he's on a podcast, so he's just
does.
being
Okay.
celebrity hard to get.
Arrow sit. Arrow sit. Arrow sit. Arrow
Nope,
sit.
nope, not going to happen. All right, well, we'll check in later how obedient.
There, look, there
Oh,
you,
look at that. What do you know, Arrow?
there you,
Way to do a delayed response.
okay, there you
Really,
go,
you
Arrow.
really made us wait for it, didn't
Boy.
you?
Yeah,
You're a hard to get little dog.
he is. He is a hard to get little dog.
But
So
anyway, back to the matter at hand today. Why does communication break down? Well, many couples, believe it just comes naturally. We're going to get married, we're going to hook up, we're going to be with each other, and it's going to be just wonderful. Just like we communicate when we first met. All we wanted to do was hear each other's anything, and then all of a sudden we don't want to hear each other's nothing. Well, it doesn't come naturally, and it's a skill set. It's learned, it's developmental. It's not a personality trait. Yeah, I think it's best to think about it this way. If someone cut their hand badly, you wouldn't just stare at it and hope that it heals. I mean, unless you're out of your mind,
right.
or you've lost it. What would you do first? You'd reach for the first aid kit. Relationships need the same thing. They need maintenance, they need upkeep, and sometimes they need a doctor or the hospital, because it can get like that. And I don't need to tell any of you out there who have experienced it and understand what I'm talking about. Relationships need the same thing. When conflict happens, and it always does, you need tools. And the tools help you treat the wound instead of making it worse. We start to make it worse. We start screaming at each other. And all it does is exacerbate the wound and wounds that are already there. Without these tools, couples, they just do what we do. We defend, we attack, we withdraw, or we shut down. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who have seen that. Two people grudging, passing each other in the night, angry, and even forgetting after a while why you even got angry. But when you have the right tools, conflict becomes something entirely different. Is it repairable, Sarah? I mean, can you fix this?
Yes, yes, you can. And I wanted to back up and say a lot of those communication patterns come from your childhood. You watched how your parents interacted with each other and how they did conflict. And you tend to do conflict the same way unless you're aware that that happened and you chose to change that pattern. So is it repairable? Of course, because you can choose to change the pattern. And that starts by recognizing the pattern. And once you do, we have the tools.
It's hard to see the forest from the trees when you're inside of that bubble. The two-way communication breakdown bubble, and sometimes it takes someone else to help you see or recognize that these patterns that you have come from a long way back, or they're part of something you were brought up to. We imitate. We're imitators, not because we're not authentic, just because that's what we do. We're in our homes. Those of us who are lucky enough to be brought up in homes, we see what our family does, and it becomes part of who we are. And then we enter into these arenas together, and we all of a sudden we feel like gladiators. You don't have the right armor, you get your head chopped off. You get screamed at. This isn't what I signed on for. I don't need this. Goodbye. I'm going out. I'm going to the bar. I'm going anywhere. I'm coming home late. I'm not doing anything because I don't need it. I don't need it. So can we work it out? A good way to do this, which people, pausing, a simple thing like pausing.
Tool number one.
I mean, it's hugely effective in a lot of different things. It's effective when you're giving a speech. Interest swells all of a sudden, and you pause. What is he going to say? What's she going to do? But let's say the first tool in the medicine chest is pause. When emotions spike, the brain jumps into protection mode. All of a sudden, put up the defensive shields. Logic disappears, everything. It's like you're a haywire computer. The pause is simple and it's powerful. Instead of responding immediately, what can you say? What can you say? Well, take a pause instead of blowing up. And what can you say to this person? Sarah, got any ideas for us?
Do you remember when, okay, so this was maybe in the 80s. I was a little kid. That's all I remember. But there were public service announcements that were talking to parents, and they would say, if you get angry at your child, walk away and count to 10. Do you remember those?
Yeah, and everybody started counting till 10.
Yeah.
Or again, sometimes they count till 3.
Yeah, but it was, and what was sad is some people didn't listen at all. But the count to 10 works because it starts to give your nervous system a chance, possibly the smallest chance, to wind down. When your nervous system is wound up in the middle of the fight, you are going to say and do things that you will regret later because you are speaking from a place of anger. You're not level-headed.
You're going to leave scars.
Yes.
Scars that you don't have to leave. Scars that are going to stay there, and they're going to cause relationship problems because they're basically things that haven't been dealt with. And it's like you need anti-inflammatory because guess what? Relationships get inflamed. And, they start burning. And, when it starts burning, you need to just chill. And that's not easy, but we need to find a way basically to reduce the emotional swelling before you really cause some damage. And we've all said stuff we don't want to say. And some of us regret it, and some of us feel bad about it, and some of us apologize.
There's a way to prevent that, though, beyond the count to 10. What I tell people to do in real life is I tell them to take 20. Take 20 minutes. One of you leaves the house and goes for a drive. This is especially good for people like me who can clear their heads in the car. So take 20. One of you leaves the house, even if it's just on the front porch, and you don't talk. You don't call a relative. You don't start texting somebody. You take 20 just to take deep breaths and to settle down.
It's also not preceded by a slamming door.
Yes. And
a lot of people leave the house, they slam the door, and, slamming the door says, that's a big F you.
That is. So it's
a big F you.
One of you leaves that house calmly. Whoever likes to be outside leaves calmly. If you both like to be outside, one goes on the front porch, one on the back, or one on the front porch, one in the car. The point is no communication during take 20, right? It is simply to take those deep breaths that we know soothe the nervous system.
Well, you said the magic word, soothe.
Soothe. Yes.
Nobody ever said anything bad about soothing.
No, you have to self-soothe so that you can get into a more realistic frame of mind and bring down all that inflammation.
So another tool is curiosity. How could curiosity be a tool? Well, most arguments, they escalate because people always they're trying to win the argument. Everybody, winners and losers, we're taught, win that argument, got to be right. I'm right. Well, we all know that, and especially those of us who have worked with people all our lives, that being right doesn't mean you're necessarily being happy together. It's not like you're singing so happy together. You're saying, basically you're singing so miserable together. That's what you're singing. Change the song. Basically, when you get curious, it changes the conversation. You're puzzled. What is this person screaming at me for? Say, it puzzles me. Why do we get this way? Why do we have to let it? You never listen to me. Can you please help me understand what you're trying to say? Because it's not coming across. Curiosity lowers defenses. It turns battlefields into conversations. And when couples stay curious, powerful things can happen. They rediscover that this person across from them isn't their enemy, it's their partner. Remember, hello,
Yeah,
we're in
your partner. It's
a
that person.
wonderful little life together, and all we do lately is scream at each other. Well, it's show your curiosity. I'm puzzled, honey. I'm puzzled why it always gets this way. Curiosity really does settle it down. It allows a little bit of a chill out, a deflate, and it's meant for understanding. And understanding is the name of the game. It happens through listening. Listening, very hard thing for us. Hard for me. Hard for everybody. There's nothing perfect here. That's for sure.
And then
The next tool is ownership.
ownership.
What do you think about ownership, Sarah? What's it about?
Well, ownership is something that we need to take in order to truly repair or start the repair process with that other person that we've been talking to. And the reason is they've gotten their feelings hurt very badly. And so we have to show them that we have some empathy, that we understand that we've hurt them. And that's where ownership is. I own the fact that I hurt you with my words. And that was
I'm sorry. I won't do it again. I'll never do it again. You know what? I'm sick of hearing your I'm sorry.
that's the false apology. The real apology is I said the wrong thing. None of it was true. I should.
And I'm sorry, and I'm really, truly, sincerely sorry about that. And I want to try to set up the parameters and the atmosphere here, because it's about atmosphere, so that we don't do it again.
And ownership is also about going inside and setting up those parameters and having some form of self-monitoring for yourself, right? So you literally monitor your thoughts and your actions before you carry them out, because you don't want to be detrimental to those around you. You really don't, because it's going to be hard to sleep at night if you know that you've hurt everybody's feelings. It's going to be really hard.
For those of you that want to keep it going, if you want to keep anger going, then you won't apologize. But when somebody does, when somebody realizes that two people are in a relationship and both people have a certain bit of culpability, to this process. There are two culpable people. You can't have one without the other. It softens when the other person goes, I really shouldn't have gone that far. I really should have not have said that. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Don't say it won't happen again, because we're human. And anybody that ever says it won't happen again, is treading on some rough water.
Yeah.
We're programmed for it to happen again, and we have to clearly understand how to, regulate that. It's a little bit about regulation, but basically, ownership provides oxygen. Instead of the person passing out and being pissed off from what you said, oxygen enters into the relationship, which allows for some clarity, clear breathing, and not, oh, here we go again with this stuff. The fifth thing is repair. Repair.
Yeah.
Every couple makes mistakes. We all make mistakes. Let me see. Anybody make any mistakes in their relationship? Hands up here.
Hands up here.
Yeah, if I had a nickel for.
Yeah. We'd be millionaires, right?
We hurt each other. We just do.
Right.
Sometimes we do it, intentionally, and it's not nice. Other times we inadvertently hurt each other and we don't even know. And a lot of times we don't know is because the other person doesn't tell us until 3 days later, when we're arguing about something else, and they throw that one on and pile that one on, and it's pile on. It's not an easy thing. It's not perfection. We're not looking for perfection here. It's about mistakes and
how to repair those mistakes. But Just to
I
take us
spoke too harshly. I spoke too harshly.
Yeah,
I opened my big mouth. What did I do this for? I didn't mean it. You're the last person I want to hurt.
right. But I have a question just to take us on a tangent. For those people who intentionally hurt others during an argument, where do you suppose that comes from? What's your theory?
I personally think it comes from, they've seen it. That, they've watched it. It was modeled. When you hurt people, a lot of times people cower away.
Yeah.
There's a certain power in it. It's not healthy. And, people are looked upon as control freaks, angry people. And it can escalate, from verbal abuse
To
to violence.
domestic violence. Yeah.
And people who witnessed, we all know people who have witnessed domestic violence a lot of times, they unfortunately can't help themselves until somebody intervenes.
And what would you say to somebody whose partner has escalated to domestic violence, whether it's a woman who's hitting a man or a man who's hitting a woman? Because I've
It's time to get some help. It's time to get out.
Yeah.
These are the things, these are make a list of 5 things that you need to do. One of them is think about removing yourself, because nobody should hit anybody.
No.
Hitting is off limits, and domestic violence, unfortunately, emotional and anger and abuse, that kind of stuff goes on for a long time. People take it for some reason. Humans are, some of us are able to take the most amazing amounts of abuse.
Isn't it the hope? Isn't it the hope for the better each day? We hope that something will get better. And I'm going to tell a quick story about how dangerous it is when you stay. Once that first push comes, once that first throw you against the wall, slap you comes, it will escalate. And usually the abuser will say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. I'm not that person." Well, 90% of the time, that's just not true. And unfortunately, I knew somebody where, the first pushes and shoves came. There would be a long period of time where the pushes and shoves didn't come. So what happened is that built hope for the future. And then one day she's 6 months pregnant. He gets in a mood and he pushes her down the stairs. Right? So that's why it's so important to get help, leave. And yes, you
Take some kind of action. Do not sit on domestic violence.
No.
Domestic violence definitely is not an issue of Band-Aid or medicine cabinets. It's an issue of action. And you have to draw a line in the sand. And that is the line in the sand. The line in the sand. No domestic violence. But anyway, in tools, the last tool we'll talk about is appreciation. And
powerful.
Appreciation, very powerful. I mean, this is what makes relationships thrive. People like to be recognized. People like to be appreciated. People, couples that have a strong habit of saying nice things and throwing recognition out there for the things that the other people do and their love languages to serve them. This is not like giant drama. This is the small, everyday appreciations. They are the things that really are the foundational things that keep relationships going. Thank you for making dinner. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate how hard you worked, Sarah.
If a husband were to say that every night to his wife, it would never get old, especially if it were sincere, right? And if wife were to say, I appreciate how hard you work.
Right. I love the way you care about our family. I love who you are to our family.
Exactly.
That way, you're everything.
You're
my everything.
Yes,
you're my everything. You're my everything.
Wait, when can we sing for these people?
I don't know. We just have to jump into it sometimes. In times like that. Times when we can jump back to Motown, and show some emotion. Motown had a lot of emotion. So We'll,
You
we'll just have
sing
to.
Walk On By? Do you want to sing Walk On By for the audience?
If you see me walking down the street and I start to cry each time we meet, walk on by. Dun, 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 dun. All right.
Walk on
Anyway,
by.
I love that song. Appreciation. Look, it strengthens everything. It even strengthens your immune system of a relationship. It's like it's like an immune system booster for relationships. When it's strong, it's tiny. Conflict, it doesn't feel like as much of a threat when you know that you're an appreciated person, because conflict's going to happen. You can agree to disagree, you can piss off at each other, but when you know that you're appreciated and recognized for who you are, it just feels that it's something you can handle, and it makes the whole mess of staying and doing the work in a relationship a lot easier to handle. But I mean, in closing this part one, communication tools out, every relationship faces storms. Every
Even tornado.
and tornadoes and misunderstandings, hurt feelings, moments when we feel communication's impossible. I'm not talking to you.
Right.
Don't talk to me that way.
Yeah.
Couples who stay strong, they're not couples that avoid. Avoidance is a big issue. I mean, we could talk about that for days, because humans really, sometimes it's just easier to avoid. But it doesn't mean that avoiding is the thing that there's nothing easy about a good relationship. Sometimes we gotta do the things that we gotta do. If you throw the right recipe down the funnel,
Yeah.
then good things are going to come out at the bottom. But if all you're throwing in there is kind of like a shit storm, and that's it, I mean, then that's what your relationship's going to be. It's going to be one big giant SS. So, I mean, that's just what it is. These are couples. They have the right medicine. When problems jump, when they emerge, which they will. It's just they know that they're cared about, and they're able to look past some of it. Although in a strong relationship where there's some give and take, you're not afraid to say some of the things that you might have to be said. You've been a little rough lately. You've been a little agitated lately. Something going on with you?
Yeah.
What are those hormones going crazy? Things that people say to each other. It's important to say it, acknowledge it, so that you can hear it. You're doing yourself no favors by keeping some of these things to yourself. All right, sometimes you say, look, I don't want to rock the boat, I don't want to do this. Okay, but if you keep it, that's your pattern, this other person's never going to know how much they're hurting you.
No. And there are ways to say it. That's the thing, is there are ways to say it that don't inflame that other person. I think that's the most important thing.
So in leaving you today, I mean, a question I want to leave you with today is, what's inside of your communication medicine cabinet? Do you have tools to pause? Are you curious? Do you show that you're curious about why your spouse or this person that you all of a sudden started to have deep feelings for, why do they act that way? Where did that come from? Do you own up sometimes? Do you recognize that it takes two, and that there are two culpable people, meaning sometimes each of us, we just do the wrong thing. How do we repair? How do you repair? What's in the tool chest? And how much do you appreciate this person, that you live with for a short time or over the long haul? Because when you have this medicine cabinet of communication, you have tools for conflict resolution, which they don't teach us at the marriage altar. They don't teach us in relationship school. They certainly don't teach it to us at school.
We go in blind. We go in
It
blind.
would really be nice, because I'm a guy that likes a heads up. I love when people give me a heads up. Please, tell me before,
Yes.
because I got something I might want to try. It's just that's the way it is. There was a comedian who would make a joke. I won't say their name, but one of their jokes was, like in a plane, like if you're starting to crash, do me a favor, come over to me and say, Mr. Halpern, we are crashing, because I got something I want to try, Um, maybe you want to flap your wings, whatever. Don't sneak anything like that on me.
Yeah,
It's important to know knowledge and information are everything. A
Yes.
spouse gives you information. It's a good idea to listen to it and use it. Um, that way, your conflict won't destroy your relationship. If you're feeling like it is,
Yes.
and
That's the whole.
sometimes relationships can heal, and sometimes relationships get even stronger after a particular episode. And when I use the word episode, I'll just let you use your imagination about some of the episodes that you've had.
Yeah.
But
And that's
anyway, go ahead.
No, well, that's where the hope is if you practice really good communication with your partner, your relationship does get stronger. It does. It gets stronger. You guys will get closer. It may not feel that way at first, but eventually you will feel the difference.
And if you found this episode helpful, which I hope you did, share it with somebody who values strong relationships. Remember, healthy relationships are not built on perfection. They're
No.
built on the tools couples use when things get difficult. And also Salvador Dali, famous painter, basically said, don't worry about perfection. You're not going to get there. I might have paraphrased him, but it's true. People focus so much about being perfect. It causes them to not try. It causes them to not flap their wings and see whether they can fly. And it's unfortunate, but this is what we're built of. Sometimes we just need a heads up. And I hope these episodes and Spicy Fridays, which sometimes are about the fundamentals of relationships, and other times they're about the sexy part, of relationships, which we'll talk about a little bit next week. And I hope you'll stay tuned, because next week we'll be talking about not the communication medicine chest, but the romance. What do you got in that romance medicine cabinet that you can do that sets the stage and the climate to create intimacy, emotional and sexual, which I'm sure at least one of you in the couple is always interested in, even though the other one might have fallen out. And we know that if we don't attend to those particular kinds of things, we let in the strange, and we open the door for some nasty things to happen. That's for another day, to talk about betrayals and infidelity and those kinds of things, which are absolutely part and parcel of what happens when relationships go stale.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, Sarah, I look forward to seeing you next week. And Sarah and I have been really busy, in the drawing board, and what we've drawn on the board is now about to take fruition and take flight. So take a look and stay tuned, because you'll be hearing about it. YourAmazingEdge.com. Plus, version, I don't know what, is on its way. It's on its way, and it is something that we're very proud of, and we hope that you will avail yourselves of. So look, have a good week, everybody. Sarah, enjoy that little dog of yours.
Thank you.
Like they say in The Wizard of Oz, and your little dog too.
Your little dog too, yeah. Well, yeah. Little dog too is chewing the carpet right now, because I've got little dog 1 and little dog 2.
Yeah, well, your dog loves textiles. What can I tell you?
Yeah, he does.
We'll see you next time. see you next time, and
Time.
bye.
Bye. Thumbs up. Yeah.